Hello, 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 hello. How are we all doing today? Thank you so much for the consume water. Um, I hate you for the 20 squats. I do no, 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 no. But yes, today we will be reading The Witcher once more, but the second book this time. Previously, what has been happening? Let's have a think about it. So, he's been chilling, and there has been a dragon. And this king, or important, not a king, an important noble, is trying to kill the dragon so he can get all the rewards that the dragon has gathered over the time. So, because that'll elevate his status, but then again, everyone is trying to kill the dragon, and Yennefer is one of them. So we'll have a Gerald Yennefer thing as well. Okay. So, as funny, I'm doing all right, but my stomach is dying quite a bit because I went to a kebab place, and those giant, like I swear, the kebab was bigger than my face, and I could like barely wrap my hands around it, and I went and ate the entire thing. And now my stomach is really hurting, and it's when it's like a churning, and you're like, oh god. Also, hi you. Hi Watch. How you doing today, lovely? Good evening, good evening. I have drunk the water, but I have not done the 20 squats. I don't think my stomach will like me for these 20 squats, but I will do them anyway because I am committed. Unfortunately, I'm still flat as a pancake. I have a great story to tell you all about what I did out today. Okay, let's do the squats. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and we're done. All right, hold on. Let me get my chair. Okay, squat's complete. But oh, do I have a story to tell. So, I went out today to this big music event, and I saw people performing, people doing opera. Then this just wonderful orchestra performance, which was excellent. But on my way home, so let me set the scene for you. I'm sitting on the tram, listening to my music, and then the most drop dead gorgeous person I've seen in my entire life goes and sits opposite me. And like as they walk past and goes to sit there, I smell their cologne. Okay, let me describe this person to you. Like, okay, so mullet, dark hair, tight black top, biceps showing, with tattoos all over his arm and neck, and then his face covered in piercings, like snake bites and nose piercings, eyebrow piercings, and he has these glasses with like crazy cyber symbolism designs on, and the tattoos on his arm are also cyber symbolism. Um, yeah, and you know, when guys are so attractive, they look like women. So his face, like super feminine, and then he was also like tall and slim, but his arms are like built and shit, and he had like a tiny waist. I met the love of my life, guys. And after sitting across from them for 20 minutes, I finally worked up the courage to say, I like your glasses. I kid you not, my heart was like pounding the whole time. And then they smiled at me and then said, thank you, in like this deep, seductive voice. And then I spent the whole like another 20 minutes thinking, oh, I want to ask for the Insta. I want to ask for the Insta. And you know what I did? I didn't. I didn't have the courage. And then they walked off, and I debated running after them, but I didn't. I didn't. Me too, Ruby, but unfortunately, I don't think I will since I rarely go out. But yes, I'm proud of myself for at least being managed to say I like your glasses, but I've never met someone who's the exact definition of my type. The piercings, the oh my you know? Any and then I talked to my friend about it, and they said if he's that hot, he's probably gay. So, and if he probably either had a girlfriend or something. So, yeah, yeah, I don't know, but I should have shot my chance. And it's so annoying because that day, like today, I did basic makeup since I'm going to an event. So I did like sort of basic makeup instead of my usual crazy shit. But if I'd done my crazy shit, then like, oh my, yeah, that's my little talk for today. But oh my gosh, I agree with you, Ruby. If I don't think fate exists though, since I rarely leave the house. And online, if you guys have probably seen me, but I wear like my fake fringe and I have the camera at an angle that makes my face seem slimmer and uh like my camera kind of cuts out all the blemishes and shit because I'm covered with acne scars and like scars. But in real life, I don't look very nice. I felt like I was standing next, like I was sitting next, like sitting opposite to like an angel or some shit. But I'll remember them for a few years, and I'll think back and I'll think you should have asked. You should have asked. But it is what it is. So, moving on. Are we gonna read The Witcher? Let's switch back to some relaxing music, and then we can begin. Okay. Well, thank you, Vivi. You're very sweet. I do act a bit crazy. I'm definitely a bit crazy when it comes to personality. People who I'm close friends with can confirm. Anyways, let's begin. Meow, meow. Well, just look, said the oldest of the reavers, Boholt, massive and burly, like the trunk of an old oak tree. So Nidamed didn't chase you away, my good sirs, though I was certain he would. But it's not for us poor fools to question royal commands. Join us by the campfire and make yourselves a palace, boys. And between you and me, Witcher, what did you talk to the king about? About nothing, Gerald said, making himself comfortable by leaning back against his saddle, which he had dragged over beside the fire. He didn't even come out of his tent to talk to us. He just said that flunky of his what's his name? Gillian Styron, said Yarpen Zigrin, a stocky bearded dwarf who was rolling a huge resinous tree stump he had dragged from the undergrowth into the fire. Meow, meow. Hi there, girl. How you doing today, lovely? Welcome in. We are reading The Witcher. We are on book 2 at the moment. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you for the stretch. Let me stretch real quick. Okay, stretch complete. Meow, meow. Hump was upstart, fart hog. When we joined the hunt, he came over, nose stuck up towards the heavens. Oh, remember, you dwarves, he said, who's in command, who you have to obey. King Nadimir gives the orders here, and his word is law, and so on. I stood and listened, and I thought to myself, I'll have my lads knock him to the ground, and I'll pistol over his cape. But I dropped the idea, because word would get around that dwarves are nasty, and they're aggressive, and it's impossible to live with them in a what the hell was it?
harmonium or whatever it was. And right away there'd be another pogrom somewhere in some little town or other. So I just listened politely and nodded.
It looks like that's all Lord Gil Lansteer knows, Gerald said, because he said the same to us, and all we did was not to. Meow, meow. Cypher says, no squats for me today. I'm free. I'm free from the squats. Hi, Hide. How you doing today, lovely? Saving up for 30K. Ooh, what are you saving up for? But I reckon, the second briefer said, spreading a blanket over a pile of brushwood. It was a bad thing Niedemir didn't chase you away. Doesn't bear thinking how many people are after this dragon. Swarms of them. It's not a hunting exhibition, no more. It's a funeral procession. I need elbow room when I'm fighting.
Come off it, Gar,
Bohart said.
the more the merrier. What? Never hunted a dragon before? There's always a swarm of people behind a dragon, a noisy rabble, a veritable bordello on wheels. But when the reptile shows up, guess who's left standing in the field? Us. That's who.
Bohart was silent for a moment, took a long draw from a large wicker-bound demijohn, blew his nose loudly, and coughed.
Another thing,
He continued.
in practice, it's often only after the dragon's been killed the merrymaking and bloodletting begins and the heads start rolling. It's only when the treasure is being shared out that the hunters go for each other's throats. Right, Gerald? Oi, am I right? Witcher, I'm talking to you.
I'm aware of cases like that, Gerald concurred dryly.
Aware, you say? No doubt from hearsay, because I can't say I've ever heard of you stalking a dragon. Never in all my born days have I heard of a witcher hunting dragons, which makes it all the stranger you're here.
True, drawled Kenneth, also known as Beanpole, the younger strafer.
That's strange, and Wait, Beanpole, I'm talking.
Bohart cut in.
And besides, I don't plan to talk for too long. Anyway, the Witcher knows what I'm on about. I know him and he knows me. And up to now, we haven't gotten in each other's way, and we probably never will. See, lads, if I wanted to disrupt the Witcher's work or snatch the loot from under his nose, the Witcher would waste no time slashing me with that Witcher razor of his. He'd be within his rights. Agreed?
1 second. Sorry, just nice. Thank you so much for the sub. Hello, Refuse. Hello. Welcome in, little one. I need to blow my nose. My nose is so stuffed today. Hold on. I'm gonna mute real quick so you don't hear elephant sounds. Elephant noise is complete. Yeah. So how you doing, Refuse? You doing well today? And I appreciate it once more, my friend.
I appreciate it.
No one seconded or challenged this. There was nothing to suggest that Bohart cared either way. He continued. Oh, I'm liking.
Aye,
He continued.
the more the merrier, as I said. And the Witcher may prove useful to the company. It's wild and deserted round here. And should a Frightener or Iliochorus or Storiga jump out at us, there might be trouble. But if Gerald's standing by there, won't be any trouble, because that's his speciality. The dragons aren't his speciality, right?
Once more, no one seconded or challenged this.
Lord Three Jackdaws is with Gerald,
Continued Bohart, handing the demijohn to Yarpen.
and that's enough of a guarantee for me. So who's bothering you, Gar, Beanpole? Can't be Dandelion, can it? Dandelion,
Yarpen Zikrin said, passing the demijohn to the bard. Always tags along whenever something's interesting happening, and everybody knows he doesn't interfere. Doesn't help. I won't slow the march down. Bit like a burr on a dog's tail. Right, boys? The boys, the stocky, bearded dwarfs, cackled, shaking their beards. Dandelion pushed his bonnet back and drank from the demijohn.
Oh, oh, bloody hell.
He groaned, gasping for air.
It takes your voice away. What was it distilled from? Scorpions?
There's one thing irking me, Gerald, Beanpole said, taking the demijohn from the minstrel. And that's you bringing that sorcerer along. We can hardly move for sorcerers.
Oh, that's right.
The dwarf butted in.
Beanpole's right. We don't need that dorigere like a pig needs a saddle. For some time now, we've uh, had our own very own witch, the noble Yennefer. Ugh,
He spat her name,
indeed.
Boholt said, scratching himself on his bull neck, from which a moment earlier he had unfastened a leather collar, bristling with steel studs.
There are too many sorcerers here, gentlemen. Too many, to be precise. And they're a sight too thick without need of me. Just look, we're under the stars around a fire, and they, gentlemen, are in the warm plotting in the royal tent. The cunning foxes, Niedermere the witch, the wizard, and Gillensteer, and Yennefer's the waz. And do you want to know what they're plotting? How to cheat us. That's what.
And stuffing themselves with venison, Beanpole interjected gloomily. And what do we eat? Marmot. And what's a marmot, I ask you? A rat. Nothing else. So what have we eaten? Rat.
Never mind,
Girl said.
we'll soon be sampling dragon's tail. There's nothing like dragon's tail roasted over charcoal. Oh, Yennefer,
Boholt went on.
is a foul, nasty, mousy bent. Not like your lasses, Lord Borch. They are quiet and agreeable. Just look. They've sat down by the horses, they're sharpening their sabres. I walked past and said something witty. They smiled and showed their little teeth. Yes, I'm glad they're here. Not like Yennefer. All she does is scheme, and I tell you, we have to watch out, because we'll end up with shit all from our agreement.
What agreement, your Boholt?
Well, Yarpin, do we tell the Witcher? Ain't got nothing against it.
The dwarf answered. There's no more booze, Beanpole interjected, turning the demijohn upside down.
Go get some, then. You're the youngest, my lord. The agreement was our idea, Gerald. Because we aren't hirelings or paid servants, and we won't be having Niedermere send us after that dragon and toss a few pieces of gold in our direction. The truth is, we'll cope with the dragon without Niedermere, but Niedermere won't cope without us. So, it's clear from that who's worth more, and whose share should be bigger. And we push the case fairly. Whoever takes on the dragon in mortal combat and beats it takes half of the treasure hoard. Niedermere, by virtue of his birthright and title, takes a quarter in any event, and the rest, provided they help, will share the remaining quarter between themselves, equally. What do you think about that?
And what does Niedermere think about it?
He said neither yes or no, but he'd better not put up a fight, the whippersnapper. I told you he won't take on the dragon himself. He has to count on experts, which means us, the Reapers, the Reavers, and Yarpen, and his lads. We and no one else will meet the dragon at a sword's length. The rest, including the sorcerers, if they give honest assistance, will share a quarter of the treasure among themselves.
Meow, meow. Wait, what happened? Dang refuse? Wait, I don't see anything like that. Wait, let me open. Oh, I think it might be a streak thing. Let me open Chrome real quick and see. We'll have a look. Sorry, it takes a second to load. Let me open this because my OBS activity doesn't show me. Oh my god, 65 stream streak. Oh, that's like, god damn. I think he might like my streams sometimes. Oh, you tune in and then you tune in for the stream streak and dip. Both are okay. Both are okay. Also, little silly thing, I've added the static version of this as a follows emote. I mean, no, that's the animated one. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. There we go. Now you can have the static and the animated one. Isn't it cute? I think it's my favorite emote. Let me continue now. Meow, meow.
We and no one else will meet the dragon at the sword's length. The rest, including the sorcerers, if they give honest assistance, will share a quarter of the treasure amongst themselves. Who do you include in the rest, apart from the sorcerers?
Dandelion asked with interest.
Certainly not buskers and poetasters,
Yap and Ziggurin cackled.
we include those who put in some work in with a battle axe, not a loot. Uh-huh.
Three jackdaws said, looking up to the starry sky.
Now will the cobbler sheepbagger and his rabble be contributing?
Yap and Ziggurin spat into the campfire, muttering something in Dwarven. Need to make a keychain. Probably not, because when it comes to physical goods, you have to often pay a commercial fee. And commercial fees can go up to 3 times the price, the original price, so it's very, very expensive. And then there's also shipping, and then I'd have to figure out how that goes, and yeah. So, hi, Arad. How you doing today? Hello. Welcome in. We are rating The Witcher. I hope you enjoy. Meow, meow.
The constabulary from Bearfield know these bloody mountains and will act as guides.
Behold said.
Hence, it will be fair to allow them to share the spoils. It's a slightly different matter with the cobbler. You see, it will go ill if the peasantry become convinced that when a dragon shows up in the land, instead of sending up for professionals, they can casually poison it and go back to... Ugh. If such a practice became widespread, we'd probably start to have betting. Yeah. That's right.
Yarpen added.
Which reason I tell you, something bad ought to befall the cobbler before the guy passes into legend.
If it's meant to befall him, it'll befall him, Gar said with conviction. Leave it to me. I'm doing well, Arad. How are you doing? I'm glad. You already said, glad to hear you're doing good. I hope you continue to good. To all the words today are not wording. I hope you continue. I hope you continue to do good. Yes. Words. I am from England. Thank you, thank you.
And Dandelion,
The dwarf took up.
I'll lacken his name in a ballad, make him look a fool, so that he'll suffer shame and dishonor for generations to come.
You've forgotten about one thing, Jad said. There's one person here who could throw a spoke in the wheel, who won't assent to any division or agreement. I mean Ake of Denzale. Have you talked to him?
What about?
Bohart said, grinding his teeth using a stout stick to move the logs around in the campfire.
You won't get anywhere, Vic. Gerald, he knows nothing about business.
And as we rode up to your camp, Three Jackdaws said, we met him. He was kneeling under the rocks in full armor, staring at the sky.
He's always doing that,
Beanpal said.
He's meditating or saying his prayers. He says he must because he has orders from the gods to protect the people from evil. Oh, back home in Crinford, Bohold muttered, we keep people like that on a chain in the cowshed and give them a piece of coal so they can draw outlandish pictures on the walls. That's enough gossip about my neighbours. We're talking business.
A petite young woman with black hair, held tightly by a gold hairnet, wrapped in a woolen cloak, noiselessly entered the circle of light.
What reeks so much around here?
Yarpen Zigrin asked, pretending not to see her.
Not brimstone, is it? No.
Boholt, glancing to the side and sniffing pointedly.
It's a musk of some other scent. Oh, no, it has to be.
The dwarf grimaced.
Oh, why, it's the noble Madame Yennefer. Welcome, welcome.
The sorceress's eyes slowly swept over the company, her shining eyes coming to rest for a while on the Witcher. Gerald smiled faintly. May I join you?
Of course, good lady.
Boholt said and hiccoughed.
Sit down here on the settle. Move your ass, Kenneth, and give the noble sorceress a settle.
From what I hear, you're talking business, gentlemen. Yennefer sat down, stretching out her shapely black-stockinged legs in front of her. Without me,
We didn't dare
Yarpen Zigrin said.
trouble such an important person.
It would be better, Yarpen. Yennefer narrowed her eyes, turning her head towards the dwarf. If you've kept quiet. From the very first day, you've been treating me as if I were nothing but air. So, please continue. Don't let me bother you, because it doesn't bother me either.
Really, milady?
Yarpen's smile revealed uneven teeth.
May I be infested by ticks if I haven't been treating you better than the air? Oh, I've been known, for example, to spoil the air, which there's no way I dare to do in your presence.
The bearded boys roared with thunderous laughter, but fell silent immediately at the sight of the blue glow, which suddenly enveloped the sorceress. One more word, and you'll end as a spoiled heir, Yarpen, Yennefer said, in a voice with a metallic edge, and a black stain on the grass.
Indeed.
Boholt cleared his throat, relieving the silence that had fallen.
Quiet, Zigrin. Let's see what Madame Yennefer has to say to us. She just complained that we're talking about business without her, from which I conclude she has some kind of offer from us. For us. Let's hear, my lords, what kind of offer it is, as long as she doesn't suggest killing the dragon by herself using spells.
And what if I do? Yennefer raised her head. Don't think it's possible, Boholt.
Might be possible, but it's not profitable because you'd be certain to demand half of the dragon's hoard.
At least half, the sorceress said coldly.
Well, you see for yourself there's no profit in it for us. We, my lady, are poor warriors. And if loot passes us by, hunger will come beckoning. We live on sorrel and pigweed. Only once in a blue moon do we manage to catch a marmot.
Yarpen Zigrin interrupted in a somber voice. Meow, meow. Thank you for the luck. So, hi, London. How are you doing today? Welcome in. Coins, coins, coins. Are you collecting coins? Meow, meow.
We drink spring water.
Boholt took a swig from the demijohn and shuddered slightly.
There's no choice for us, Madame Yennefer. Let's either loot or freeze to death in the winter, huddled against a fence, for inns cost money.
Beer does too, Gar added. And dirty strumpets, Beanpole said, daydreaming.
Which is why,
Boholt said, looking up at the sky,
we will kill the dragon by ourselves, without spells and without your help.
Are you certain about that? Just remember there are limits to what is possible, Boholt.
Perhaps there are, but I've never come across them. No, milady. I repeat, we'll kill the dragon ourselves without any spells. Particularly,
Yarpen Zigrin added,
since spells surely have their own limits, which, unlike our own, we don't know.
Did you come up with that yourself? Yennefer asked slowly. Or did someone put you up to it? In Sleepy, does the presence of a witcher in this select company give you the right to such brazenness? Meow. Hi, Maida. Thank you so much for the bits. I appreciate it. How you doing, lovely? I'm having a great day. How are you doing? You having a nice day? We finished the first book of The Witcher. So we are on the second book at the moment, which I'm super happy about. Second book of The Witcher. Let's go. Thank you for the consume water, London. Let me do that now real quick. Let me just flip it up. Ah. Oh. Okay, London says the rage quit because they lost a 5v1 with shock troopers. A graded class special. Don't worry, you'll become that class soon. Okay, Jack, how you doing today, lovely? Welcome in, welcome in. How you? Hey. Mira says, doing good, finally slept. Oh, that's good. Getting asleep is always great. Because sleepy equals more awake. And then you can focus more on stuff. No worries, Mira. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful stream when you do as well. Mwah. London says, there's a solo, guys. Imagine the much pain, much pain. Hold on, let me just ban someone real quick. Me too. Actually, no, I can't. Never mind. I'll just delete the message. If I can. I don't know. Mm. Me, 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 me. London says, I've made a clear promise to never play. What? No, you'll play it. You'll play it again. You'll play it again. You will. You will. I know that you will. Meow, meow. No, Behold replied, looking at Gerald, who seemed to be dozing, stretched out lazily on a blanket, with his saddle beneath his head.
The Witcher has nothing to do with it. Listen, noble Yennefer. We put forward a preposition to the king, but he hasn't honored us with an answer. We're patient. We'll wait till the morning. Should the king agree to settle, we'll ride on together. If not, we go back. That's true,
The dwarf snarled. Meow, meow. London says, I also promised someone I would put them to 5-month Tarnad. Last month done. You sure I haven't remembered my promises? I don't know, when it comes to games, it's very easy to get addicted to things, so yeah. But good luck. It's always good to spend less time online and be outside a lot more. Meow, meow.
There won't be any bargaining.
Boholt continued.
Take it or leave it. Repeat our words to Niedermir, Madame Yennefer. And I'll tell you, a deal's also good for you and for Dora Garay. If you come to an agreement with him, we don't need the dragon's carcass, mark you. We'll take but the tail, and the rest is yours. You can have whatever you want. We won't stint you with the teeth or the brain. We'll keep nothing that you need for sorcery.
Meow, meow. Hi, Akihira. You're alive. Hello. You live. Welcome in, welcome. Hey, Tainstick, lovely. Oh, London says, I got Helldivers. Recently got both of the Division games. I'll give it a shot. Oh, awesome. By living, you mean a beach shore, right? Meow, meow.
Of course.
Yarp and Zigrin added, chuckling.
The carrion will be for you, sorcerers. No one will take it from you, unless some of the vultures do.
Yennefer stood up, throwing her cloak over her shoulders. Niedermir won't wait until morning, she said sharply. He has agreed to your conditions already. Against mine and Dora Garay's advice, mark you.
Niedermir
Boholt slowly drawled.
is displaying astonishing wisdom for one so young. To me, Madame Yennefer, wisdom includes the ability to turn a deaf ear to foolish or insincere advice.
Yarp and Zigrin snorted into his beard. You'll be singing a different tune. The sorceress put her hands on her hips. When the dragon lacerates and perforates you and shatters your shin bones, you'll be licking my shoes and begging for help, as usual. Oh, well. Oh, how very well do I know your sort. I know you so well it makes me sick. She turned away and disappeared into the gloom, without saying goodbye. Merp, merp. Oh, Akira's been streaming a lot lately. Cool, cool. I might catch up soon. We'll catch up on, well, sorry, I'm a bit confused. Like on a TV series? Oh, London says I'm gonna stream The Division Biodrama on 888 tomorrow. Cool. Nice, nice. Good luck. Followers on what? What do you mean? A bit confused. Merp, merp. Team. That was I. Hmm.
In my day,
Yelpin Sigrin said,
sorceresses stayed in their towers, read learned books, and stirred cauldrons. They didn't get into a warrior's fate, didn't interfere in our business, and didn't wiggle their bottoms in front of a fellow.
frankly speaking, she can wiggle all. Wait, one thing.
Frankly speaking, she can wiggle all she likes.
Dandelion said, turning his lute.
Right, Gerald? Gerald? Hey, where's the Witcher? What do we care?
Behold muttered, throwing another log on the fire.
He went somewhere. Maybe he had to relieve himself, my lord. It was his business. That's right.
The bard agreed and strummed the strings.
Should I sing you something? Sing, damn it.
Yelpin Sigrin said and spat.
But don't be thinking, Dandelion, that I'll give you as much as a shilling for your bleating. It's at the royal court, son. I can see that.
The troubledoer nodded. And that is the end of that section. Also, Akihiro, please do not mention like a follow account in my stream. It is kind of like self-promotion in a way, and we don't really want to be talking about like other streams in my stream. But congratulations. I don't do like I do short streams and I haven't been making much other content, so yeah. That's too much seriousness. Uh-oh. We couldn't embrace the silly. Is that enough silliness? I think that's enough silliness. For now, at least. Part 5. Yennefer. She turned around, as though surprised, as though the Witcher was in doubt. She had heard his steps well before. She placed a small wooden pail on the floor, straightened up and brushed aside some hair, which had freed itself from her golden hairnet, and fell in curls onto her shoulders. Gerald. She was wearing just 2 colors, as usual, black and white. Black hair, long black eyelashes, forcing one to guess the color of the eyes concealed beneath them. A black skirt and a short black tunic with a white fur collar. A white blouse of the sheerest linen. On her neck, a black velvet ribbon adorned with an obsidian star, bestrewn with tiny diamonds. You haven't changed at all. Neither have you, she sneered. And in both cases, it is equally normal, or if you prefer, equally abnormal. In any case, the mention of it, though it may not be a bad way to begin the conversation, is meaningless. Am I right? You are, he nodded, looking to one side, towards Nidamir's tent and the fires of royal bearmen, obscured by the dark shapes of wagons. From the more distant campfires floated Dandelion's sonorous voice, singing the stars above the path, one of his most popular romantic ballads. Well, now that we have the preliminaries out of the way, the sorceress said, I wonder what's coming next. You see, Yennefer. I see, she interrupted sharply, but I don't understand. Why did you come here, Gerald? Surely not because of the dragon? I presume nothing has changed in that regard. No, nothing's changed. Why then, I pray, have you joined the party? If I said that it was because of you, would you believe me? She looked at him in silence, and there was something in her flashing eyes which Gerald did not like. I believe you, why not? She finally said. Men like to meet their former lovers, to like to relive memories. They like to imagine that erstwhile ecstasies give them some kind of perpetual ownership of their partner. It enhances their self-importance. You are no exception, in spite of everything. Nevertheless, he smiled, you're right, Yennefer. The sight of you makes me feel wonderful. In other words, I'm glad to see you. Is that all? Well, let's say I'm also glad. Having said that, I wish you good night. I'm retiring for the night, as you can see. Before that, I tend to bathe. I usually get undressed to perform that activity. Withdraw then, in order graciously to show me a minimum of discretion. Meow, meow. Hi, Maz. Thank you for the water consume. I'll do that now. I'm doing okay. I got home like 10 minutes before I had before starting stream, so I rushed. I ate too much, so I've got a bit of a stomachache. And I'm quite sleepy, but otherwise than that, I'm doing well. How are you doing, lovely? Meow, meow. Yan. He held his hands out to her. Don't call me that, she hissed furiously, springing back, blue and red sparks streaming from her extended fingers. And if you touch me, I'll scorch your eyes out, you bastard. The Witcher moved back. The sorceress, somewhat calmer, brushed her hair aside once again and stood before him with her fists resting on her hips. What do you think? What did you think, Gerald? That we'd have a nice, cheerful gossip? That we'd reminisce about the old days? That perhaps at the end of our chat we'd get onto a wagon? Just like that for old time's sake, did you? Gerald, not certain if the sorceress was magically reading his mind or had only guessed right, kept silent, smiling wryly. Those 4 years left their mark, Gerald. I'm over it now, which is the only reason why I didn't spit in your eyes during today's encounter. But don't let my civility deceive you. Yennefer, be quiet. I gave you more than one I've ever given to any other man, you scoundrel. I don't know myself why I gave it to you, and you. Oh, no, my dear. I'm not an elf woman met by chance in the forest who can be discarded in the morning, walked out on without being woken, without a posy of violets left on the table, who can be made a mockery of. Beware, utter a single word, and you will regret it. Gerald did not utter a single word, correctly sensing the anger seething in Yennefer. The sorceress once again brushed aside some unruly locks and looked him in the eyes from close up. Meow, meow. Oh, no, so at least you're okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear you're okay. Yeah, you got a lot on your head, I can imagine. This is The Witcher. The second book of The Witcher is called, the full name is Sword of Destiny, Tales of the Witcher. So I thought it would be better just to put Sword of Destiny, since it's the name of the specific one. The specific one. We've met, that's too bad, she said softly. But we shall not make a spectacle of ourselves for everybody. We shall save face. We'll pretend to be good friends, but don't be mistaken, Gerald. There is nothing between us now. Nothing. Understood? And be glad of it, because it means I have now abandoned the plans which, until recently, I still harbored regarding you. But that in no way means I've forgiven you. I shall never forgive you, Witcher. Never. She turned around suddenly, seized the pail, spraying water around, and disappeared behind a wagon. Gerald chased away a mosquito whining above his ear and slowly walked back to the campfire, where Dandelion's performance was being rewarded with half-hearted applause. He looked up at the dark blue sky above the black serrated saw blade of the mountain peaks. He felt like bursting out laughing. He did not know why. And that is the end of that section. Give me a minute. I am just going to get my dressing gown since I'm a bit chilly. 1 second. Okay, we are back. Let me just have a throat sweet real quick. Mm. Gosh, I'm already tired. The sleepiness is consuming me today. I think I will do the next section without voices. Just for chill. Hi there, Kath. How you doing today, lovely? Welcome in. I'm just gonna throat sweet in my mouth. Once when I was streaming, I choked on a throat sweet, and I had to end stream. Here, part 6. Careful up there. Take heed. Boholt called, turning around on the couchman's seat to look back towards the column. Closer to the rocks. Take heed. The wagons trundled along, bouncing on stones. The wagoners swore, lashing out, leaning out. They glanced anxiously to see if the wheels were sufficiently far from the edge of the ravine, along which ran a narrow, uneven road. Below, at the bottom of the chasm, the waters of the River Bra, foamed white among the boulders. Gerald reined him back his horse, pressing himself against the rock wall, which was covered in sparse brown moss and white lichen. He let the Reaver's wagon overtake him. Beanpole galloped up from the head of the column, where he had been leading the cavalcade with the Bearfield Scouts. Also, no, don't worry, I'm not bad in the life. I'm gonna keep going, but I'm not gonna be doing the voices since my throat is hurting. I think I'll probably end in around 50 minutes or so. Or maybe 40 minutes. If I end up playing a game, I'll be streaming for longer. Meow, meow. Right, he shouted. Without a will, it widens out up ahead. King Nidomir and Gailen Staren, both on horseback, accompanied by several mounted bowmen, came alongside Gerald. Behind them rattled the wagons of the royal caravan. Even further back trundled the dwarves' wagon, driven by Yap and Sigrin, who was yelling relentlessly. Nidomir, a very thin, freckled youngster in a white sheepskin jacket, passed the Witcher, casting him a haughty, though distinctly bored look. Gailen Styr straightened and reined in his horse. Over here, Witcher, sir, he said overbearingly. Yes? Gerald jabbed his mare with his heels and rode slowly over to the Chancellor, behind the caravan. He was astonished that, in spite of having such an impressive porch, Gillen Styr preferred horseback to a comfortable ride in a wagon. Yesterday, Gillen Styr said, generally tucking his gold-studded reins and throwing a turquoise cape off his shoulder. Yesterday you said the dragon does not interest you. What does interest you, the Witcher, sir? Why do you ride with us? It's a free country, Chancellor. For a moment, but in this cottage, my dear Gerald, everyone should know his place and the role he is to fulfill, according to the will of King Nidomir. Do you comprehend that? What are you driving at, my dear Gillenstyren? I shall tell you. I've heard that it has recently become tiresome to negotiate with you witches. The thing is that, whenever a witcher is shown a monster to be killed, the witcher, rather than take his sword and slaughter it, begins to ponder whether it is right, whether it is transgressing the limits of what is possible, whether it is not contrary to the code, and whether the monster really is a monster, as though it wasn't clear at first glance. It seems to me that you are simply doing too well. In my day, witches didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Just 2 stinking bits. They didn't question, they slaughtered what they were ordered to. Whether it was a werewolf, a dragon, or tax collector. All that counted was a clean cut. So, Gerald? Do you have a job for me, Gillen Styren? The Witcher asked coldly. If so, tell me what. I'll think it over. But if you don't, there's no sense in wasting our breath, is there? Job? The Chancellor sighed. No, I don't. This all concerns a dragon, and that clearly transgresses your limits, Witcher. So I prefer the Reavers. I merely wanted to alert you, warn you. King Nidomir and I may tolerate the whims of witches and their classification of monsters into good and bad. But we do not wish to hear about them, much less see them affected in our presence. Don't meddle in royal matters, Witcher, and don't consort with Darkrai. Like I am a small streamer, so yeah, that is fine. But I never check view accounts or check who's listening and such, so yeah. I'd appreciate it if you didn't point out or like mention view accounts to me, because if I don't really want to look at them, or else I'll feel kind of down or like care about them, you know? Don't meddle in royal affairs, Witcher, and don't consort with a dark array. I am not accustomed to consorting with sorcerers. Why such an interference? A dark array, Galansterian said, surpasses even witches with his whims. He does not stop at categorizing monsters into good or bad. He considers them all good. That's overstating the case somewhat. Clearly, but he defends his views with astonishing obstinacy. I truly would not be surprised if something befell him, and the fact he joined us keeping such curious company. I am not Dargaray's companion, and neither is he mine. Don't interrupt. The company is strange. A witcher crawling with scrambles like a fox's pelt with fleas. A sorcerer sprouting druidic humbug about equilibrium in nature. The silent night watch, the rejectals and his escort from Zeracania, where, as is generally known, sacrifices are made before the image of a dragon. And suddenly they all join the hunt. Strange, isn't it? If you insist, then yes, it is. Know then, the Chancellor said, that the most mysterious problems find, as experience proves, the simplest solutions. Don't compel me, Witcher, to use them. I don't understand. Oh, but you do. Thank you for the conversation, Gerald. Gerald stopped. Gillen stared and urged his horse on, and joined the king, catching up with the caravan. Ikov Denzel rode alongside, wearing a quilted caftan of light-colored leather, marked with the impressions of a breastplate, pulling a pack horse laden with a suit of armor, a uniformly silver shield, and a powerful lance. Gerald greeted him by raising his hand, but the knight errant turned his head to the side, tightened his thin lips, and spurred his horse on. He isn't keen on you, Dargaray said, riding over. Hey, Gerald? Clearly. Competition, is it? The two of you have similar occupations, except that Ick is an idealist and you are a professional. A minor difference, particularly for the ones you kill. Don't compare me to Ick, Dargaray. The devil knows who you wrong without comparison. Him or me. But don't compare us. As you wish. To me, frankly speaking, you are both equally loathsome. Thank you. Don't mention it. The sorcerer patted the back of his horse, which had been scared by all the yelling from Yarpen and his dwarves. To me, the Witcher, calling killing a vocation is loathsome, low and nonsensical. Our world is in equilibrium. The annihilation, the killing, of any creatures that inhabit this world upsets that equilibrium. And as a lack of equilibrium brings a closer extinction. Extinction and the end of the world as we know it. A Druidic theory, Gerald pronounced. I know it. An old Hierophant expounded it to me once, back in Rivia. 2 days after our conversation, he was torn apart by were-rats. It was impossible to prove any upset in equilibrium. Hi, Kybus. Welcome in. Don't worry. You're not late. My stream is not something you have to arrive on in time. Okay? Don't stress about it. How are the games? I hope they went well. We are on the second pick of the Witcher, and I hope you enjoy. Merp, merp. The world, I repeat. Dargaray glanced at him indifferently. is an equilibrium, natural equilibrium. Every species has its own natural enemies. Every one is the natural enemy of other species. That also includes humans. The extermination of the natural enemies of humans which you dedicate yourself to, and which one can begin to observe, threatens the degeneration of the race. Do you know what, sorcerer? Gerald said, annoyed. One day take yourself to a mother whose child has been devoured by a basilisk, and tell her she ought to be glad, because thanks to that the human race has escaped degeneration. See what she says to you. A good argument, Witcher, Yennefer said, riding up to them on her large black horse. And you, Dargaray, be careful what you say. I'm not accustomed to concealing my views. Yennefer rode between them. The Witcher noticed the golden hairnet had been replaced by a rolled-up white kerchief. Start concealing them as quickly as possible, Dargaray, she said, especially before Nidomir and the Reavers, who already suspect you plan to interfere in the killing of the dragon. As only as you talk, they treat you like a harmless maniac. However, if you try to start anything, they'll break your neck before you can manage to let out a sigh. The sorcerer smiled contemptuously and condescendingly. And besides, Yennefer continued, by expressing those views, you damage the solemnity of our profession and vocation. How so? You can apply your theory to all sorts of creatures in vermin, Dargaray, but not to dragons. For dragons, the natural greatest enemy of man, and I do not refer to the generation of the human race, but to its survival. In order to survive, one has to crush one's enemies. Enemies which might prevent that survival. Dragons aren't man's enemies, Gerald broke in. The sorceress looked at him and smiled, but only with her lips. Kaivis says, I played Doom. It feels good to bash some brains once in a while. Good break from studying, eh? So hi, Onion. Welcome in, lovely. You remind me of Elden Ring narrator. Do you do professional voice work? No, I don't. I'm normally a lot more energetic when reading, and I do. When I'm speaking for Gerald, I put my voice much deeper like this. And when I'm talking as the Yennefer, I make my voice more sultry like this. But today I'm quite tired since I was out all day, so I am doing calm reading. Welcome in, welcome in. Elden Ring, you say? Maybe one day I'll play Elden Ring on stream when I build my new PC, but Elden Ring, oh my gosh. If I did play it, I'd run a cheat build, and I think I'd still get thousands of deaths. I have quite a slow reaction speed, to say the least. But yeah, Onion, I hope you enjoy the reading. We are reading The Witcher. We're in the second book of The Witcher at the moment. If you have maybe played the Witcher games or watched the series or any of that. Do straight arcane, that's what I did. By arcane, you mean a magic sort of build, right? Onion says, never played the Witcher games. Me either. But the series is very popular. Ah, bleed. Okay, so you hit them once and you just deal DOT. Like damage over time. You shouldn't play a Doom as some stuff that'll stress you out. As you told us, sounds that are too loud make you crash out. I wouldn't say crash out. Um, I think it's more have a bit of a shutdown because I go like quiet and panic. Because with my autism, I get overstimulated very easily. If there's too much going on like that, then I have a bit of a panic. So yeah, I haven't been able to play Adrical or things like that. With Elden Ring, I think I have like how many hours do I have in it? Around 10. But I think I only made it past like the first boss with like a guide and everything. Because I was just so horrible at Souls-like games, which it really sucks because I love the way they look, but you can't peacefully explore either without being mauled to death. It's a bit of a conundrum. That's the word for it. Legends of Zelda. Over the top? OOT? Not sure for sure. I'll only be able to play games that are on PC. And definitely a lot later because games are expensive, and at the moment I'm saving everything I can for RAM. I'm gonna be buying RAM when my model is finished. Onion says, I had a hyperfixation Elden Ring. Did NG plus 7? Oh, what is NG plus 7? I'm sorry, I'm a bit uneducated. When I played Elden Ring, I just ran around and explored. Hi, Smartlet. Welcome in, lovely. How's it going? RAM is crazy. I wanted to get 64 gigabytes, but realistically, I don't think I will be able to, so 32 is definitely what I'm gonna go for. Right now it's around like 425 in my current no, 430 in my currency, which is around like 500 in US dollars. So, yeah. But good news, my model has got lots of percussion on. I might get like another like a really goofy like YouTube short or something to reveal bits of the outfit. Onion says, and she says, when you finish the game 7 times, oh, you're a masochist, aren't you? Yeah, yeah, you're definitely a masochist. Smuggler says, my buddy when I bought PC, you can always upgrade RAM later. Yeah, that's the issue with me. I bought my CPU and GPU first. I've been buying the parts individually since like 2025. Slowly. And I should have bought the RAM first. I really should have. I agree with you, Jan. Ran, I just, well, I don't know, I'm kind of debating still just going for the 64 and paying it off or something. Because I don't know if my computer will be able to run everything. Onion says, it was so bad, man. The boss is the one shot you past NG. Oh my god. With like random little monsters one shot you as well? If you get one shot, bro. Onion, you have 128 gigs? That's it. Send me a location. I'm on my way. You can spare half of it, can't you? You can spare 32 of it. I'm on my way. Keep your windows unlocked. Also, if you have a cat or any sort of pet, do not question anyone leaving with a pet-shaped lump in their shirt. 200 for 128 gigs. Oh my god. My heart, I'm getting like heart-wrenching pain from that. Oh. But it's horrible because I have every single other part of my PC like watching me. Like I have every single other component. So I basically have like I dead as have a whole goddamn PC aside from the RAM. And my current PC is dying day by day. Onion says, do not take the cat to the air. Your air fryer is safe, but I might be taking the cat for a day or two. Maybe. Cyber says, hi Cyber, thank you for the consume order, lovely. I'll do that now. So Cyber Pro, I was so tempted to join you guys in repo, but I knew if I joined, I'd just be like quiet and doing the objectives, and that might be boring, and I don't know. So I thought it might be another time, but I'd love to. Onion says, "That's an impressive and a bit there. Yeah, I'm hoping all the tech companies will start selling it, but in reality, I'll see how. First off, I want to test my current PC with my model and see if I can get that working, and if I just can't run it, because what ideally, I don't know. I think I just want to get it with my model so I can play games, and I also am going to get it like a second-hand monitor so I can have my main monitor for games and my second monitor just to see stuff. For Facebook, I don't know. When it comes to PC parts, I like to buy them new because you never know. People like overclock it and stuff, and I don't know. You can always join. I don't know. I'm always shy, Cyber. I'm always shy. I'm always very, very shy. Gosh. But anyways, should we continue a bit with the Witcher? We are at 12% at the moment, and I'm hoping to get to 15% before we end stream today. Or I can always play a game. Meow, meow. Who knows? I could try and play a Repo if it doesn't crash my PC. I really want to be able to. No, it wouldn't. My PC couldn't. I remember I have this memory of trying to play Repo with Moaz, and it did not work. Like my whole PC crashed and it wouldn't turn on for like half an hour. So I had to unplug the power source and everything. Oh, Onion, my PC can't run Minecraft on stream. My computer can run games fine when I'm not on stream, but on stream, I just can't. Yes, let's continue a bit. Sit back and relax, everyone. Close your eyes and be warned because I might randomly start screaming in your ear or whispering in a scary way. Anyways, let's continue. And besides, Yennefer continued, by expressing those views, you damage the solemnity of our profession and vocation. How so? You can apply your theory to all sorts of creatures and vermin, Targaryen, but not to dragons. For dragons are the natural greatest enemies of men, and I do not refer to the degeneration of the human race, but to its survival. In order to survive, one has to crush one enemies which might prevent that survival. Dragons aren't men's enemies, Gerald broke in. The sorceress looked at him and smiled, but only with her lips. In that matter, she said, leave the judging to us, humans. Your role, Witcher, is not to judge, it's to get a job done. Like a programmed serval golem? That was your comparison, not mine, Yennefer replied coldly. But well, it's apt. Yennefer, Darkrai said, for a woman of your education and age, you are coming out with some astonishing tripe. Why is it that dragons have been promoted in your eyes to become the foremost enemies of men? Why not other, 100-fold more dangerous creatures? Those that have 100-fold more vicious and victims on their conscience than dragons? Why not Hirika's hawktails
Manticores, amphibians, or gryphons. Why not wolves?
I'll tell you why not. The advantage of men over other races and species, the fight for their due place in nature, for living space can only be won when nomadism, wandering from place to place in search of sustenance in accordance with nature's calendar, is finally eliminated. Otherwise, the proper rhythm of reproduction will not be achieved, since human children are dependent for too long. Only a woman safe and secure behind town walls or in a stronghold can bear children according to proper rhythm, which means once per year. Fecundity, Dargaray, is growth, is the condition for survival and domination. And now we come to dragons. Only a dragon, and no other monster, can threaten a town or stronghold. Were dragons not to be wiped out, people would, for their own safety, disperse instead of cleaving together, because dragons' fire in a densely populated settlement is a nightmare. Means hundreds of victims and terrible destruction. That is why dragons must be utterly wiped out. Dargaray. Dargaray looked at her with a strange smile on his face. I'm real Dr. House. How you doing today? Welcome in. You burnt your real grilled cheese. Oh. Rest in peace, the grilled toasty. Who knows? Hopefully it might still taste nice. How badly is it burnt? I have a family relative who only eats burnt toast. Like to the point where the toast is completely black. And he only eats it like that. He's mental, I tell you. Do you know what, Yennefer? I wouldn't like to see the day your idea of dominance of man comes about, when people like you will occupy their due place in nature. Fortunately, it will never come to that. You would rather poison or slaughter each other, expire from typhoid, fever, and typhus, because it is filth and lice and not dragons which threaten your splendid cities, where women are delivered of children once a year, but where only one newborn baby in 10 lives lives longer than 10 days. Yes, Yennefer. Fecundity, and once more fecundity. So take up bearing children, my dear. It's the most natural pursuit for you. It will occupy the time you're currently fruitlessly wasting on dreaming up nonsense. Farewell. Urging on his horse, the sorcerer galloped off towards the head of the column. Gerald, having glanced at Yennefer's pale, furiously twisted face, began to feel sorry for him in advance. He knew what this was about. Yennefer, like most sorceresses, was barren. But, unlike most sorceresses, she bemoaned the fact and reacted with genuine rage at the mention of it. Dargaray certainly knew that, but he probably did not know how vengeful she was. Oh, he is in trouble, she hissed. Oh, yes. Beware, Gerald. Don't think that when the time comes and you don't show good sense, I'll protect you. Never fear, he smiled. We, and I mean witches, and servile golems always act sensibly, since the limits within which we operate are clearly and explicitly demarcated. Well, I never, Yennefer said, looking at him still pale. You're taking umbrage like a tart whose lack of chastity has been pointed out to her. You're a witcher. You can't change that. Your vocation. That's enough about vocations, Yen, because it's beginning to make me queasy. I told you not to call me that, and I'm not especially bothered about your queasiness, nor any other reactions in your limited witch's range of reactions.
Nevertheless, you'll see some of them if you don't stop plying me with tales about lofty missions in the fight between good and evil, and about dragons, the dreadful enemies of the human tribe. I know better.
And yes, the sorceress narrowed her eyes. And what do you know, Witcher?
Only,
Gerald said, ignoring the sudden warning vibration of the medallion around his neck.
that if dragons didn't have treasure hoards, not a soul would be interested in them. And certainly not sorcerers. Isn't it interesting that whenever a dragon is being hunted, some sorcerer closely linked to the Goldsmith Guild is always hanging around, just like you. And later, although a deal of gemstones ought to end up on the market, it never happens and their price doesn't go down. So don't talk to me about vocation in the fight for the survival of the race. I know you too well. Will have known you too long.
Too long, she repeated, sneering malevolently. Unfortunately, but don't think you know me well, you son of a... Damn it, how stupid I've been. Oh, go to hell, I can't stand the sight of you. She yanked her horse's reins and galloped fiercely ahead. The Witcher reined back his mount and led through the wagon of dwarves, yelling, cursing and whistling through bagpipes. Among them, sprawled on some sack of oats, lay Dandelion, plucking his lute.
Both,
Roared Yarpen Sigrid, who was sitting on the box, pointing at Yennefer.
there's something black on the trail. Wonder what it is. It looks like a neck.
Without a doubt, Dandelion shouted, shoving his plum bonnet back.
It's an egg, riding a guilting. Astounding.
The beards of Yarpen's boys shook in general laughter. Yennefer pretended not to hear. Gerald reined back his horse again and let Niedermir's mounted bowman through. Bort was riding slowly some distance beyond them. Sorry. And the Zeracanians brought up the rear just behind him. Gerald waited for them to catch up and led his mare alongside Borch's horse. They rode on in the silence.
Witcher,
Three Jackdaws suddenly said,
I want to ask you a question.
Ask it.
Why don't you turn back?
The Witcher looked at him in silence for a moment.
Do you really want to know?
Yes, I do, Three Jackdaws said, turning his face towards Gerald.
I'm riding with them because I'm a servile golem, because I'm a wisp of an oakum blown by the wind along the highway. Tell me, where should I go, and for what? At least here some people have gathered with whom I have something to talk about. People who don't break off their conversation when I approach. People who, though they may not like me, say it to my face and don't throw stones from behind a fence. I'm riding with them for the same reason I rode with you to a log driver's inn. Because it is all the same to me. I don't have a goal to head towards. I don't have a destination at the end of the road.
Three Jackdaws cleared his throat.
There's a destination at the end of every road. Everybody has one. Even you, although you like to think you're somehow different. Now I'll ask you a question. Ask it. Do you have a destination at the end of the road? I do. Lucky for you. It is not a matter of luck, Gerald. It is a matter of what you believe in and what you serve. No one ought to know better than a witcher. I keep hearing about goals today,
Gerald sighed.
Niedermir's aim is to seize Mallow. Echo Densel's calling is to protect people from dragons. Dorgare feels obliged to do something quite the opposite. Yennefer, by virtue of certain changes which her body was subjected to,
cannot fulfill her wishes and is terribly undecided. Damn it. Only the reavers and the dwarves don't feel a calling and simply want to line their pockets. Perhaps that's why I am so drawn to them. You weren't drawn to them, Gerald. Rivia. I'm neither blind nor deaf. It wasn't at the sound of their name you pulled out that pouch, I surmise. There's no need to surmise, the Witcher said, without anger. I apologize. There is also no need to apologize. They reined back their horses just in time, in order not to ride into the column of bowmen from Cairngorm, which has suddenly been called to a halt. What has happened? Gerald stood up in his stirrups. Why have we stopped? I don't know. Botch turned his head away. Via, her face strangely contorted, uttered a few quick words. I'll ride up front, the Witcher said, to see what's going on. Stay here. Why? Three Jackdaws was silent for a moment, eyes fixed on the ground. Why? Gerald repeated. Go, Botch said. Oh no, who is Botch? Botch, sorry, wrong person. Botch is the same as Three Jackdaws. Go, Botch said. Perhaps it'll be better that way. What will be better? Go. The bridge connecting the two edges of the chasm looked sound. It was built from thick pine timbers and supported on a quadrangular pier, against which the current crashed and roared in long strands of foam. Hey, Beanpole, yelled Beaumont, who was driving the wagon. Why have you stopped? I don't know if this bridge will hold. Why are we taking this route? Gillen Starin sighed, riding over. It's not to my liking to take the wagons across the bridge. Hey, cobbler, why are you leading us this way and not by the trail? The trail continues on towards the west, doesn't it? The heroic poisoner of Fairfield approached, removing his sheepskin cap. He looked ridiculous, dressed up in an old-fashioned half-armor, probably hammered out during the reign of King Sambak, pulled down tightly over a shepherd's smock. The road's shorter this way, Your Majesty, he said, not to the Chancellor, but directly to Niedermere, whose face still expressed thoroughly excruciated boredom. How's that? Gillen Starin asked, frowning. Niedermere did not even grace the cobbler with a more attentive glance. Them's, Sheepbagger said, indicating the three notched peaks towering over the surrounding area. Is she over? Great Kestrel? Harvinger's Fang, the old trail leads towards the ruins of the old stronghold and skirts around Shiava from the north. Beyond the river's source, but we can shorten the way by taking the bridge. We'll pass through the gorge and onto the plain between the mountains, and if we don't find no sign of the dragon there, we'll continue on eastwards. We'll search the ravines, and even further eastward there are flat pastures. Where there's a straight road to Cairngorm, towards your land, sire. And where, Sheepbagger, did you acquire such knowledge about these mountains? Merholt asked. At your cobbler's last? No, sir. I herded sheep here as a young un. And that bridge won't give way? Boholt stood up on the box and looked downwards at the foaming river. There must be a drop of 40 fathoms. It'll hold, sir. What's a bridge doing in this wilderness, anyhow? That there bridge, Sheepbagger said, was built by trolls in the olden days, and whoever came this way had to pay them a pretty penny. But since folk seldom came this way, the trolls were reduced to beggary. But bridge remains. I repeat, Gillen Starin said irately. We have wagons with tackle and provender, and we may become bogged down in the wilderness. Isn't it better to take the trail? We could take the trail, the cobbler shrugged, but it's longer that way.
And the king said he'd give his and get that dragon soon.
Eye teeth, the Chancellor corrected him. Have it your way, eye teeth, Sheepbagger agreed, but it's still quicker by the bridge.
Right, let's go, Sheepbagger.
Bohart decided.
Forge ahead, you and your men. We have a custom of letting the most valiant through first.
No more than one wagon at a time, Gillensterin warned.
Right.
Bohart lashed his horses and the wagon rambled onto the bridge's timbers.
Follow us, Beanpole. Make sure the wheels are rolling smoothly.
Gerald reined back his horse. His way barred by Needham's bowmen in their purple and gold tunics, crowded on the stone bridgehead. The Witcher's mare snorted. The earth shuddered. The mountains trembled, and the jagged edge of the rock wall beside them became blurred against the sky, and the wall itself suddenly spoke with a dull but audible rumbling. Rumbling, rumbling, rumbling. Sorry. I gave it. It came into my head. My head. The song. Yes. If I lose it all, da 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 my bam, to die another day. I think that's how it goes or something. If I lose it all, lose it all, lose it all. How much is left in this section? Give me 1 minute. I just want to see how much is left in this. Oh, it's a long, long, long while. Okay. I'm at page 48 at the minute. We are going to get to page 50, and I think that'll be the end of it. And then, well, maybe I'll play a game. Yeah, I'll play a game.
Look out!
Bohart yelled, now on the other side of the bridge.
Look out, there!
The first small stones pattered and rattled down the spasmodically shuddering rock wall. They had followed, very rapidly widening. Okay, sorry. Gerald watched as part of the road they had followed very rapidly, widening into a yawning black crack, broke off and plunged into the chasm, with a thunderous clatter.
To horse!
Gillensterin yelled, Your Majesty, to the other side! Ladymer, head buried in his horse's mane, charged onto the bridge, and Gillensterin and several bowmen leapt after him. Behind them, the royal wagon, with its flapping griffin banner, rumbled onto the creaking timbers.
It's a landslide! Get out of the way!
Yap and Zigrin bellowed from behind, lashing his horse's rumps, overtaking Needham's second wagon, and jostling the bowmen.
Out of the way, Witcher! Out of the way!
Eck of Denzel, stiff. Stiff and what? We're talking about his posture, right? 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 Eck of Denzel, stiff, galloped beside the dwarf's wagon, were it not for his deathly pale face and mouth contorted in a quivering grimace. One might have thought the knight errant had not noticed the stones and boulders falling onto the trail. Further back, someone in the group of bowmen screamed wildly, and horses whinnied. Gerald tugged at the reins and spurred his horse, as right in front of him the earth boiled from the boulders cascading down. The dwarf's wagon rattled over the stones. Just before the bridge, it jumped up and landed with a crack on its side onto a broken axle. A wheel bounced off the railing and plunged downward into the spoon. I actually don't know this word. What is spoon? Froth or foam? Ah, this is the white stuff that you see on the waves. Always nice to learn new words. The witch's mare, lacerated by sharp shards of stone, reared up. Gerald tried to dismount but caught his boat buckle in the stirrup and fell to the side onto the trail. His mare neighed and dashed ahead, straight towards the bridge. Dancing over the chasm, the dwarfs ran across the bridge, yelling and cursing. "Hurry, Gerald!" Dandelion yelled, running behind him and looking back. "Jump on, Witcher!" Doricare called, thrashing about in the saddle, struggling to control his terrified horse. Further back, behind them, the entire road was engulfed in a cloud of dust, stirred up by falling rocks, shattering Niedermeer's wagons. The Witcher seized the straps of the sorcerer's saddlebags. He heard a cry. Yennefer had fallen with her horse, rolled to the side, away from the wildly kicking hooves, and flattened herself to the ground, shielding her head with her arms. The Witcher let go of the saddle, ran towards her, diving into the deluge of the stones, and leaping across the rift opening under his feet. Yennefer, yanked by the arm, got up onto her knees. Her eyes were wide open, and the trickle of blood running down from the cut brow had already reached her ear. "Stand up, Yen! Gerald, look out!" An enormous flat block of stone, scraping against the side of the rock wall, with a grinding, clattering sound, slid down and plummeted towards them. Gerald dropped, shielding the sorceress with his body. At the same moment, the block exploded, bursting into a billion fragments, which rained down on them, stinging like wasps. "Quick!" Doricare cried, brandishing his wand atop the skittering horse. He blasted more boulders which were tumbling down from the cliff into dust. "Onto the bridge, Witcher!" Yennefer waved her hand, bending her fingers and shrieking incomprehensibly. As the stones came into contact with the bluish hemisphere, which had suddenly materialized above their heads, they vaporized like drops of water falling on red-hot metal. "Onto the bridge, Gerald!" the sorceress yelled. "Stay close to me." They ran, following Doricare and several fleeing bowmen. The bridge roared and creaked, the timbers bending in all directions as it flung them from railing to railing. "Quick!" The bridge suddenly slumped with a piercing, penetrating crack, and the half they had just crossed broke off, tumbling with a clatter into the gulf, taking the dwarves' wagon with it, which shattered against the rocky teeth, to the sounds of hooves, frantic whinnying. The part they were still now standing on was still intact, but Gerald realized they were now running upward across a rapidly tilting slope. Yennefer panted a curse. "Get down, Yennefer. Hang on." The rest of the bridge grated, cracked, and sagged into a ramp. They fell with it, digging their fingers into the cracks between the timbers. Yennefer could not hold on. She squealed and dropped. Gerald, hanging on with one hand, drew a dagger and plunged the blade between the timbers and seized the haft in both hands. His elbow joints creaked as Yennefer tugged him down, suspended by the belt and scabbard across his back. The bridge made a cracking noise again and tilted even more, though almost vertically. "Yen," the Witcher grunted. "Do something. Cast a bloody spell." "How can I?" He heard a furious Mafford sound. "I'm hanging on." "Free one of your hands. I can't." "Hey," Dandelion yelled from above. "Can you hold on? Hey!" Gerald did not deign to reply. "Throw a rope. Throw down a rope." Dandelion bellowed. "Quickly, damn it!" The Reavers, the dwarves, and Gillenstone appeared beside the troubledoer. Gerald heard Bohard's quiet words. "Wait, Busker. She'll soon fall, and then we'll pull the Witcher up." Yennefer hissed like a viper, writhing and suspended from Gerald's back. His belt dug painfully into his chest. Yen, can you find a hold? Using your legs, can you do anything with your legs? Yes, she groaned. Swing them around. Gerald looked down at the river, seething and swirling among these sharp rocks, against which some bridge timbers, a horse, and a body in the bright colors of Cairngorm were bumping. Beyond the rocks, in the emerald transparent maelstrom, he saw the tapered bodies of large trout, languidly moving in the current. Can you hold on yet? Just about. Yes. Heave yourself up. You have to get a foothold. I can't.
Throw down a rope, Dandelion yelled. Have you both gone bad? They'll fall.
Perhaps that's not so bad. Gillenstein wandered out of sight. The bridge creaked and sagged even more. Gerald's fingers, gripping the hilt of his dagger, began to numb. Yen, shut up! Stop wriggling about. Yen, don't call me that. Can you hold on? No, she said. She was no longer struggling, but simply hanging from his back, a lifeless, inert weight. Yen, shut up. Yen, forgive me. No, never. Something crept downwards over the timbers, swiftly, like a snake. A rope, emanating with a cold glow, twisting and curling, as though alive, searched for and found Gerald's neck with its moving tip, slid under his armpits and raveled itself into a loose knot. The sorceress beneath him groaned, sucking in air. He was certain she would start sobbing. He was mistaken.
Careful,
Dandelion shouted from above.
we're pulling you up. God, Kenneth, pull him up. Heave.
A tug, the painful constricting tension of the taut rope. Yennefer sighed heavily. They quickly travelled upwards, bellies scraping against the coarse timbers. At the top, Yennefer was the first to stand up. And that is the end of the section. What did we all think about it? Did we like it? Gosh. I thought it was great. Also, one day I need to move my chat into this shit. Should I? Don't know. This is like where chat's supposed to be, but it's a triangle. How am I supposed to fit anything on a triangle? Like it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? I tried to talk to the creator if it was possible to have like an overlay like this without the background, but I mean without the chat box. But she never got back to me. But maybe I'll reach out to her again about it. Hey, let me just do that real quick. Yeah. You take guests on your channel? I've only had one guest on stream. My really close, really close friend, Ghost. But the issue is when reading with multiple people, it gets a lot more complicated because it means I can't pause and talk. First off, it means I can't pause and talk to you guys in chat because we'll be switching between reading. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to talk. Hi, Yachty. Wait, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Yachty. Happy birthday to you. I look forward to hearing about your day. Have to angle it? I got you. Don't worry, guys. There we go. Is this the chat you want to see? Maybe not. Hi, Charlotte. Oh, you came just when I'm about to end. Yeah, this is the end of stream. We just got to 15% through The Witcher. Thank you for the consumer order, Cyber. I appreciate it. But Yoni, are you streaming today? Mrs. Belters on Women's Day. Wait, when's Women's Day? Wait, let me search this up. Women's Day. March 8th. I didn't even know that was a Women's Day. But maybe I did, but I probably forgot. Yori, after you free to league? I think it's time for league after this. Also, thank you so much for the water consume. I have drank the water. Yori, is it league time? Yori. Yori. I'm liking. Yori, is it league time? But yes, we will be ending stream here, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed The Witcher. Did we like The Witcher? Hopefully. We'll start. Yeah, I'm streaming tomorrow. I'll stream tomorrow, and yeah, we'll be reading more of The Witcher. But for now, I will be in the Daemons and my Discord server, and we will be playing a bit of League of Legends, everyone's favorite game. And I am going to be stealing a run for it. Thomas, do you play? Do you play it? Let me send the Discord server link in our chat. So if anyone wants to join VC, feel free to drop by. We'll just be linking. But I hope all of you. Oh, thank you, Ron. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day as well. And Kaivis, yes, PS4. You got this. And Charlotte says, best of luck on your test. Best of luck on your test tomorrow, Charlotte. Bye bye. See you, lovely.